better. We are all in frame. We don't need to see ourselves. We just need to see that chat. We need to see Twitch chat. Twitch. All right, 1 second, everyone. Twitch.tv/ wait, there we go. Let's pop out our chat. Boom. Pop out. Hey, we're streaming on here. That's sweet.
Did an advertisement.
All right, I know. I got rid of the advertisement. Let's see. We'll do that. And we have Twitch chat up as well. Okay. There we go. Welcome, everyone, to the stream that is now... Well, first, let's make sure everyone can hear us. Can you hear us? Jesus Christ.
Not a character in our games.
Yes.
See if I can remember my password. Oh, my God. Come on, Twitch. There we go. Oh, really? I need a token, too? Oh, you son of...
What's the token?
Token is to make sure no one's piggybacking on my account.
Did they send you something through your
Yes, they
text
did.
message?
Yeah. 74184 verify token.
Nothing was there.
Oh, it wasn't. Yeah,
Oh, God dang it. 4 member verify token. There. Okay, we're in the chat. Can you hear us? Go away, Automod. Yes, we will carry all questions over. Okay. Test. Please, someone type in the Twitch chat if you can hear us. we are going crazy here. Please tell us you can hear us. Yes! Hooray!
There we go. The major time.
Okay. Thank God. We are online. Slightly delayed by only 17 minutes, but we're going to keep this thing going. Okay. So, welcome to the Twilight of the Gods question and answer with the developers. I'm Chris Cluey. To my right is...
Hey, I'm Chris Morgan.
And to my left is...
Justin Uche.
They are both designers on the game with me, and then my brother is off screen because he doesn't want to be on camera, and also, as he said, there is not enough room for everyone to fit in our current location. Go away, dog. No, you're not part of the game. All right, so let's go to the first question. All right, the first question is, I love DBGs, dueling battle games. What, in your opinion, makes Twilight of the Gods different? What does it add to the mechanic? How is it different? In Twilight of the Gods, the thing that makes us different is the fact that we have player interaction and you always get to play with your cards. So, for example, in games like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, a lot of the time you're essentially playing against your deck. It's, do you draw the right cards? Do you not get mana screwed? Do you not get mana clumps? You're not really playing against the other person in so much as it could be a computer on the other side, and there really wouldn't be a whole lot of difference. In our game, you're constantly trading with the other person. You're constantly thinking about, okay, do I need to sacrifice to get rid of their cards? And there is always player interaction, and there's no way to shut the other person down. You can't build a permission deck. You can't build something that prevents the other person from playing the game. So that's really what makes us unique and what makes it so that people, hopefully will want to play the game. So do you guys have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, the game itself basically lends itself to everyone being able to play with and against each other. You can't just counter your opponent to oblivion until you play some big card that just ends it ends the game right then and there. You have to play with each other. I think the biggest thing that I've witnessed when it comes to doing this game, playing it, making cards, is you really don't know if you're doing the best move or not, or the best trades, or if you should even trade in general. I mean, there's so many different ways you can play the game. There's so many different choices that you're forced to make that it's hard to decide whether or not it's worth doing it and if you did it right. Is leaving that sand dune when they play it on turn one and not blowing it up as quickly as possible really a great move? Or do you not having a lot of resources because you know that sand dune can lead to something catastrophic? Maybe you got rid of it soon. Maybe you got rid of it early. I don't know. That's the big thing about it is there's a lot of choices. You don't know which one's the right one. And it all comes down to the decisions you make rather than just playing a card all the time or just holding cards in your hand until you can just combo out and just win.
Yep.
Speaking of choices, two things that I really noticed about this game, about Twilight, is a lot of games there's only one major target. You have a life total, your opponent. Here, because we have the restore mechanic used so many times, the discard stack is a major target, not just the life stack. So you really have to decide, do I want to hit him for more, or do I want to get rid of that restore card?
Yeah.
Do I want to hit him for more, or do I want to get rid of that card still to come back into play?
Yeah, that's a big thing that, meaningful choice, as Chris and Justin both mentioned, that, with the fact that you always have to decide, do I try to burn them down and go for their max health, or do I try to get these cards out of the game permanently so that I can slowly whittle them down over time? And there's never going to be one correct answer. I mean, it's based on what does your deck do? What does your opponent's deck do? You might run the same deck every single game, but based on what your opponent does, you might have to switch up what your optimal strategy is. And the good players are the ones who recognize that and are able to, to adapt and then to overcome those changing situations. So yeah, hopefully that's what makes you want to play our game, is that you're constantly thinking, and you can play it as checkers if you want, or you can play it as 4-dimensional hyper chess. The choice is up to you. All right. So let's go to the next question. The next question from Toktomish is, will there be any way for us to play offline with some of the cards prior to launch, i.e. some kind of a print and play option? I am not totally sure if we're going to have that. I doubt it. That's more up to Victory Point than it is up to us. I'm not opposed to it, just to to let people play around with the cards and get used to them. I will say we do have the Tabletopia demo, so that'll get you half the cards because you have both the Mars and the Hera deck. Unfortunately, you don't get to see Enlil. You don't get to see Enlil or Reader of Portents, but we have to keep some stuff in reserve. we got to have some secrets. So no definite answer on that other than we will see. Let me check Twitch chat real quick. Let's see. Grant sent me a message, just tried calling me. Yes, Grant, you cannot get me right now because my phone is on silent, so it doesn't interrupt the broadcast. All right. And I also think it's probably an issue with the computer and how it's interacting with the Kickstarter page. So, next question. When do we get Odin? When his ravens return. So Odin isn't in the game yet, but we are definitely planning on including gods from the Norse pantheon. Loki primarily, but Freya as well. But Odin will most likely make an appearance. I'm thinking probably as a stretch goal for the first big expansion.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a pretty neat one, because then you have Loki versus Odin, and the thing is that if the game takes off, we're gonna have so many opportunities to draw in from so many different pantheons that there won't be a question of, is this god going to make it in? It's like, we're going to have so many in.
It'll make it, trust me. There's plenty of gods that we barely even heard of that are making it in there. So Odin, probably going to make it.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of gods. All right. And that leads into the next question. How many factions do you envision adding to the game? So for right now, we can say definitively we have the starting 4 factions in the core set. We're going to be adding additional deities to those factions through our mini expansions. We have 3 mini expansions planned coming out after the core set. And then we have a big expansion planned after those mini expansions, which will introduce 2 new factions with their own unique mechanics and with new ways to play the game. So we do have new factions planned. We don't want to give everything away just yet because we want there to be some anticipation and some building up to it. But the great thing about this game is, since the resources are faction agnostic, you don't need mountains, you don't need islands, you don't need swamps, you don't need heart energy or leaf energy. all you need is tier 1s, tier 2s, and tier 3s, and then you can play your cards. So we can add as many factions as we want. We're probably not going to have 30 different factions because that would make balancing a mess, but we will definitely have a very good selection for you guys to play around with, and that is something that we are looking at.
I'd like to compare the idea of us having factions to games in the past. I remember Legend of the Five Rings had different clans, and us having factions, for them, there was maybe 8, and it worked great. If there was 30, it would have been a complete mess. So just piggybacking on what you're saying.
Yeah, we want there to be a decent amount, but we don't want there to be too many where you're overwhelmed with choice. All right, so next question. Will the game have any kind of presence at Gen Con 2017? Yes, we will be at Gen Con 2017. We will not be having our own booth, but we will be having some tables in conjunction with Double Exposure, their Envoy program. We will be there. We will be playing the game, and we're looking at hopefully having a tournament of some sort. So if you want to test your mettle against other people in Twilight of the Gods, then Gen Con, yeah, we'll be there. Bring your A game. All right. Next question. How far ahead are we with design and playtesting? We're about a year ahead in terms of design and playtesting, because one of the big things with this game that we all recognize is that because it is an expandable card game and not a collectible card game, we can't phase cards out. So everything that we make, we have to make sure that it's balanced against the cards that came before. And that's going to get progressively more difficult as we release more cards. So we definitely want that lead-in time where we can do a lot of playtesting to ensure that we catch all the most obvious broken combos and infinite extra turns, stuff like that, because that's not something we want in the game. We want it to be where you can play with your starting core set cards and still have a chance against everyone who has the new cards, because we don't want to make better cards, we want to make different cards. So it's more options in which to play the game.
Yeah, we're trying the best thing we can to avoid power creep. We do not want power creep in this game at all. Mm-hmm. We want it so that the new cards that come out are in line with the original cards. Every card that is going to come out in every future expansion will be in line in some way or another with the previous cards like that. So that's way you don't feel like you get the cards initially, and let's say 5 years down the line, they're kind of null and void because the stats are worse, as an example. No, all the cards that we release, all the mechanics that we introduce, they're all going to fall in line with cards that are existing, so that no matter what cards you're using, it'll always feel fresh, it'll always feel like it'll have a use, and it won't feel like some cards just get thrown in the rubbish bin. We don't want that. We want you to use everything, new cards, old cards, all those cards.
Give an example. When I started playing Magic in '93, I didn't really get into the game until a few years later when all the expensive and high-end cards were no longer allowed or unreachable. We don't want that. We want everything to be accessible to everyone whenever they get into the game.
Yeah, and then we also want to avoid the idea that if you don't have the newest and best cards, that you can't compete with everyone else. Because that, in my opinion, makes the game unfun. It makes it where, okay, whoever has the biggest wallet and can afford to buy those cards is the one that wins. If you can make the deck that costs $1,500, great, you'll raffle stomp your opponents. Congratulations, you spend the money to do that. And I know some people like doing that, but that's not the game that we want to make. We want to make a game where it's more dependent on your skills as a player versus your ability to buy the cards that no one else has. So, and I think we've done a pretty good job